Hello, and in today's video we're going to look at the recent Free League game, Twilight 2000. This has just had a very successful Kickstarter, and it's finally arriving at backers' homes in late 2021. So you might be thinking, what is Twilight 2000? Well, let's quote Free League. In the game, players take roles of survivors in the aftermath of World War III, soldiers or civilians. Their goal, beyond surviving for another day, can be to find a way back home, to carve out their own fiefdom, or to find out about the mysterious Operation Reset, and maybe, just maybe, make the world a little bit better again. Now, the original rules, Twilight 2000, came out around 1984 by GDW. They're probably more famous for releasing Mark Millar's Traveller RPG. And it should be noted that there are actually several versions of Twilight 2000 out there, but many people actually prefer the first edition. There's actually 4 editions now, with Free League being the 4th edition. But there's also version 1, the slightly tweaked version 2, and the not so well received 2013 edition, which I guess is version 3. Now this version uses a modified Year Zero engine, as per Tales from the Loop, Corollis, Alien. And it's also got a hex crawling system, which I think was first seen in Forbidden Lands and Mutant Year Zero. And both of those systems have been modified apparently for the post-apocalypse world of Twilight 2000. Now, the other thing that's had to change is the original game's setting, which was obviously very much of the 80s. And it's a what-if scenario should, like, the USSR not have collapsed following the coup in 1991. The world is subsequently devastated, and we're now in the year 2000, following a little bit of a nuclear war. And as such, it's a world that's diverged from our actual reality, unlike the original game, which was a sort of a grim prediction of our possible future. And it's really important to recall that back in the 80s, when the game was originally conceived, there was a real fear that the Cold War could go hot and nuclear devastation would be unleashed. And MAD was a theory that was big at the time, which, if you don't know what it is, it's mutually assured destruction. Basically, if you take me on, I'll nuke you out of existence. So, let's have enough of channeling some existential dread from things like The Day After and Threads, and let's see what's in the box. So what we've got here is a nice sturdy cardboard box, which is packed full of bits and pieces. So let's get it open and look at the contents. So inside we've got our Free League catalogue, some cards, some silica gel, some dice. We've then got a little briefing report, a couple of those. We've then got a map here. Oh, it's tough to get this out. A couple of those, sort of a regional map of, I believe, Poland and on the other side Sweden. Some blank character sheets here, which are nice sturdy cardstock by the looks of it. And underneath the character sheets, we've got these rather nice sort of battle maps, a token sheet. We then finally actually get to all the rule books, so there's quite a lot in here. So referee's manual, and then a player's manual. And obviously the player's manual is going to be very useful for learning how to play the game. There's Kickstarter backers info, and then we get into the really nice artwork inside. Now obviously this is following a post-apocalyptic sort of war, so it's a fairly grim setting, and there's a load of stuff looking for information, so we're trying to get out of there, so Poland, Sweden or other settings. We then get into a bit of information about player characters, nationality, the ranks of different armies. We then get into attribute scores, so a D6 is feeble, whilst a D12 is extraordinary. Hit and stress, skills, similarly rated based on dice. So this is very much a modified Year Zero engine game, so if you know that game, you'll probably be fairly au fait with how this set of rules work. Then you've got your gear for both the group and individuals, radiation, and then we get into character creation using archetypes. So the archetypes are the civilian, the grunt, the gunner, the kid, the mechanic, the medic, and we have the officer, the operator, and then finally I think we have the spook. You then got your life paths, so what did you do in childhood, what was your military career, and there's a load of info there about various different forces, the police, crime, intelligence, blue collar, work, education, white collar, and at war. Developing your characters, learning from experience, and then it goes into the skills and specialties, section 3. So rolling the dice, chance of success, and all that business. Various different specialties. We then go into combat and damage. So you've got initiative, slow and fast actions, using battle maps and all that good stuff. And what else? We've got social conflict, close combat, range combat, using cover, weapon jams, explosions, so sort of all sorts of gritty tactical detail for people who are into obviously that sort of stuff, this being a sort of military based RPG. Various hit locations, falling, chemical warfare, radiation, disease. Yeah, quite a lot of information here, and as you see, just flipping through it all. Section 5 then, we get to weapons, vehicle and gear, and there's some nice bits there which I believe you've got some cards to help you remember all this stuff, because there's loads of information, lots of nice artwork and stats. So yeah, I mean, the Year Zero engine's meant to be a fairly simple to play game system, so I'm wondering how that's going to work with this slightly gritty setting. For me, my concern is there's a bit too much detail here actually, but we'll see. So anyway, loads of stuff on gear. Then we get into travelling, so doing all your hex crawling stuff, driving, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. And then right at the back here, I just spotted a very nice sort of table of contents. So page 150, we've got our index, which is looking pretty detailed, and that's just the player's manual. So slightly thinner, we've got the referee's manual, again with backing information on the inside covers. So there are potential spoilers in here, so be aware. So we've got the world at war, your job as a referee, some encounters, factions and forces, some scenarios, and then, for example, some solo rules, which is interesting. So the world at war, obviously, this is where all the things went wrong. So it's got a little timeline here, which does diverge from the original rules. So it's slowly escalating, and then obviously you get a bit of a cold winter. Then we got what goes on in Poland, order of battle, so lots of interesting information. Then information on Sweden, again with the order of battle there. Then what happened in some other countries and the rest of the world. Then we get to the bit that might be useful for people new to role-playing games, your job as a referee, what you've got to do. So nowhere is safe, resources are scarce, players lead the way, rumours abound, everything is personal, the end is never certain, death is part of life. And then, just to cheer you up, hope never dies. So how to start the game, prepare for sessions, how to deal with non-player characters. We then get into some encounters, and that's like basically you can use some cards to have stuff. So let's flip through that. We don't want too many spoilers. So I think that takes us all the way through to some adventures. So factions and forces first, then we get to the adventures. And I'm going to flip through that quickly because we don't really want to do it yet. That's all spoilery stuff. Let's skip straight past that. And then we get to some tables at the back here, which helps you do stuff. And then the bit that's really interesting is solo rules. So these are guidelines, so how to do hex crawling, some various tools, how to get started, creating encounters, helpful or hazardous stuff, NPC motives, settlements. Yeah, anyway, that is a very quick flip through the core box. now to go off and read this and try and digest it and get to grips with it. There are these cards that come in the deck, which are initiative and encounter cards, and then of course there's all these funky dice. Now I believe you can use regular dice. I'm a little bit concerned that they've got these funky dice, so we'll have to see how that works out. But what's interesting is this white dice is a hit location dice, and as far as I can tell, these extra dice they got are basically just copies of what comes in the core set, but it just gives you a few more dice for play at the table. Well, that's everything back in the box for now. As I say, I'm going to go off now and have a read, and once I've really got to grips with it, I'll probably be returning to my stash of Free League games and actually do some reviews of them. And yeah, this looks like a really nicely put together set of rules. But as I say, for me, I wonder if there's a bit too much detail for my current taste, which is a very lightweight rules. But from my quick flip through, it does look like, you know, you can choose, do you want to go with archetypes, do you want to go with life paths, do you want to use battle maps or not. So I think some of that extra detail is there if you want it, but I think you can drop it if it's too much for you. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. As I say, a little quick unboxing and flip through of the new Twilight 2000 4th edition game. Keep an eye out for more videos, and until the next video, happy gaming.